At last it's May. The days are long, the nights are warmer and the frosts are finally fading, which means us gardeners can begin to plant out the vegetable plants that we started in the winter, creating extra space on our windowsills and in our greenhouses for even more seed sowing. So in this video, I'm going to give you my top 3 seeds to sow in May. But what are you planning on growing this month? Let us know in the comments below. May is the perfect time to grow climbing beans, including French and runner beans. Not only do they grow vertically and do well in containers, which means they take up very little space, but they are prolific croppers, producing a seemingly never-ending supply of food. Climbing beans are very tender plants, which means they cannot be exposed to frost. But as we begin to pass our last frost dates, May becomes a great month to direct sow them. However, I find I get better growth if I let the beans germinate in pots and then transfer them into the ground later in the month. This year I'll be growing French beans, Neckergold and Brunhilde, but there are so many varieties and colours to choose from that I recommend you try as many as possible until you find your favourites. Once they've germinated and a few leaves have formed on the young plants, I'll plant them next to these bamboo supports so they can naturally climb their way upwards and give you repeat harvests from early July onwards. The next seed I recommend you sow this month is sweet corn. Now, sweet corn is said to dislike being disturbed after sprouting, so this is another great seed for direct sowing. However, I find you can get away with leaving them in a damp paper towel for a night or two, just to speed up germination and reduce any issues with mice, and then as soon as you see that first root emerging, putting the seed straight in the ground. Sweet corn is wind pollinated, so you'll get a better crop if you plant them in blocks rather than in a straight row. I use a dibber to plan out the spacings, trying to leave 45 centimetres between plants, and then placing my seed in the hole and lightly firming in with some compost. This year I'm only going to grow a small batch of multicoloured sweet corn, but previously I've grown Conqueror, which is an AGM F1 hybrid, which produces beautiful fillers of sweet corn ready to harvest from August onwards. And remember that sweet corn loses its taste as soon as it's picked, so only try and harvest moments before you plan on eating it. And before we move on to the last seed, if this video is inspiring you to keep on sowing, then please press the like button. The plan is to continue producing these guides so we can all grow food throughout the year, so keep coming back for your monthly list of seeds to sow. And the last seeds to sow this month are salad leaves. That's rocket, spinach and lettuce. And while I'm possibly grouping them together unfairly, they can all be sown indoors in pots or directly sown outdoors, and they all dislike the heat and can be prone to bolting, which is when a plant produces flowers and then seeds. When the plant tries to do this, the leaves can change taste, even go bitter, and then eventually the plant might die. To avoid this, try and grow your plants in the shade and make repeat sowings throughout the year to replace any lost plants. I'll be growing my salads under these trellises, which I'm using to grow my peas, runner beans and pumpkins, which hopefully will provide some shade. All these seeds can be sown in shallow trenches and then lightly covered with more soil, or simply firm down into the ground or into the surface of your pots. Keep the soil moist until you begin to see germination, and then pick the leaves from the outside inwards, being sure to leave some new growth in the centre so the plant can keep producing more leaves and you can keep coming back for more food. Of course, May is also the month when we get to plant tender plants into the ground. These tomatoes, I'd wait until the overnight temperature is consistently more than 10 degrees Celsius or 50 Fahrenheit, and then I'd use a dibber to make a hole, wiggle it around to get the right width, and directly transplant that plant into the ground and firm in with the surrounding soil. And for other equipment that you might need to use now the garden has truly come alive, check out this video here, which is my list of essential gardening tools. Otherwise, as always, happy gardening.